It looks like Marvel might actually be gearing up for a fourth Guardians of the Galaxy movie, which has fans buzzing once again. This time, though, it seems like things could look a little different behind the scenes because James Gunn, the man who shaped the first 3 movies into the cosmic adventure fans adore, might not be returning to direct. But that doesn't mean the story is over. In fact, there are already whispers about someone new stepping in to take the reins. And if the rumors are true, it might just be Taika Waititi. Considering his love for offbeat humor, colorful visuals, and emotional storytelling, that's actually a pretty exciting idea. So let's get into everything we know and everything we can imagine about what's next for the Guardians of the Galaxy. When Guardians Volume 3 wrapped up in 2023, it felt like the end of an era. But as Marvel fans know, endings in the MCU rarely stay that way for long. The movie wrapped up the storylines of the original team beautifully, but it also left just enough doors open for the future. That small tease alone was enough to get fans speculating about whether we could see Guardians Volume 4 one day. And now, with all these rumors floating around, that day may be closer than people think. Recently, Dave Bautista, who played the fan-favorite character Drax, opened up in an interview with Comic Book about what it would take for him to return if Guardians 4 actually happens. Bautista explained that he considers Drax's story pretty much wrapped up for him personally, but he added one interesting twist. If James Gunn were somehow involved again, that would change everything. In his words, if Gunn ever called and asked him to put the makeup back on for one more round, he'd do it in a heartbeat. That comment speaks volumes about the bond between the cast and Gunn, because while Bautista has said Drax's journey felt complete, it's also clear that he deeply respects the filmmaker who brought that story to life. Gunn was the one who helped make these cosmic misfits feel real and human, even as they crack jokes in the middle of space battles. It's easy to understand why Bautista would only want to return under those same creative conditions. It's about loyalty, but also about preserving the heart of what made the franchise special in the first place. Still, even though Gunn is now leading the charge over at DC Studios, that doesn't mean the MCU side of things is shutting the door on the Guardians. Far from it. Marvel Studios hasn't officially greenlit Guardians of the Galaxy 4 yet, but that's not unusual, especially since the studio is currently balancing a bunch of projects tied to the multiverse saga. Because of that, the Guardians may show up in upcoming team-up films like Avengers Doomsday or Avengers Secret Wars before spinning off again into their own next adventure. It's all about timing, and if there's one thing the MCU does well, it's playing the long game. Now, some fans might wonder how a Guardians 4 would even work without James Gunn, and that's where things get interesting. If Taika Waititi really is being considered, it could make for a natural transition. His unique sense of humor, his colorful storytelling style, and his ability to balance comedy with deep emotional moments would fit perfectly with the Guardians world. Thor Ragnarok proved he can make cosmic chaos both hilarious and heartfelt, which is exactly what the Guardians are all about. So, if Marvel decides to hand him the keys to the Milano, that could be a really smart move. When we look at how Volume 3 ended, it's actually pretty clear that Marvel left itself plenty of space to keep exploring the cosmic side of the MCU. Star-Lord's storyline, for example, feels far from over. The post-credits scene confirmed that the legendary Star-Lord will return, which means Chris Pratt isn't done yet. The movie's ending showed Peter Quill returning to Earth to reconnect with his grandfather, and that emotional reset gives Marvel a lot of storytelling freedom. It could lead to a solo adventure, or it might be the setup for a brand new Guardians chapter that explores how he gets pulled back into galactic trouble again. Then there's Rocket, who stepped up as the new leader of the Guardians at the end of Volume 3. That new team lineup, featuring Rocket, Groot, Adam Warlock, Kraglin, Phyla, and Cosmo the Space Dog, opened the door for an entirely new generation of space heroes. And because they're still out there responding to distress calls and saving galaxies, it wouldn't be surprising if Marvel decided to explore more of their adventures in a fourth movie. The story potential is wide open, and with fresh creative leadership, a Guardians 4 could easily introduce new cosmic threats, deeper emotional arcs, and even some wild cameos from across the Marvel Universe. And speaking of new faces, one character fans have been talking about for a while now is Nova, aka Richard Rider. Marvel has been quietly developing a Nova project for some time, and given his ties to the Nova Corps, which was introduced in the first Guardians movie, it wouldn't be a stretch for him to join the new team. In the comics, Nova has teamed up with the Guardians multiple times, and his arrival could bring a big power boost to the next phase of Marvel's cosmic storytelling. Imagine a Guardians Volume 4 where Rocket and his crew meet Nova while facing off against a massive interdimensional threat. It practically writes itself. And while Gunn has made it clear he's moved on to his new DC Universe responsibilities, he's also left the Guardians in a perfect position for someone else to build upon. Volume 3 wrapped up his vision beautifully, giving closure to the original team's arcs while leaving the galaxy full of new stories to tell. So even though his chapter is closed, the book itself is still very much open. A bunch of filmmakers would love the chance to explore this world further, and Taika Waititi, if the rumors hold true, could bring his own distinctive energy to it while still honoring Gunn's tone and characters. Now, it's also worth remembering how Guardians of the Galaxy has become one of the MCU's most beloved sub-franchises. The chemistry between the characters, the soundtrack full of nostalgic hits, and the mix of humor and heart are things that audiences just can't get enough of. Because of that, it's hard to imagine Marvel ever completely walking away from it. Even if Volume 4 ends up being a soft reboot with a slightly different lineup or tone, fans will absolutely show up to see what happens next. The demand for more cosmic Marvel stories is still huge, and Guardians of the Galaxy is the perfect vessel to deliver them. And let's be honest, Marvel has a long history of reinventing its biggest franchises. Iron Man evolved from solo films into Avengers epics. Thor's story shifted directions entirely after Ragnarok. Even Spider-Man's journey was reimagined multiple times in different tones and settings. So, if Marvel decides to give the Guardians another run with a new creative team, that's not unusual. It's actually part of what keeps the MCU so fresh. Every new phase builds on what came before while also adding something surprising, and Guardians 4 could easily continue that tradition. One thing that gives this idea even more weight is that the Guardians team is already being teased for appearances in the upcoming Avengers films. The Volume 3 ending confirmed they're still out there, ready to answer any galactic SOS, which means Marvel has no intention of retiring them anytime soon. That's good news because it sets the stage for crossovers, cameos, and possibly the groundwork for their own fourth installment. The cosmic side of the MCU is just getting bigger, and the Guardians are right at the center of it all. Even though James Gunn has said that Volume 3 was his planned finale, the MCU has evolved so much since then that new creative opportunities keep opening up. With Secret Wars and Avengers Doomsday on the horizon, there's every reason to believe that Star-Lord, Rocket, and the rest of the team could play a big role in those events. And after that, a Guardians 4 would be the perfect way to launch into Marvel's next phase of cosmic storytelling, Phase 7 and beyond. So while Bautista may have closed the door on Drax for now, his comments show just how much heart and loyalty the original cast has for the franchise. And with Star-Lord confirmed to return, plus Rocket leading a new team, the future of Guardians of the Galaxy still looks bright. Whether it's called Volume 4 or takes on a new title altogether, the spirit of the Guardians is still alive, waiting for the right creative spark to bring it roaring back to life. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.